I'm Martina, project manager at EBAN, the European Business Angel Network, and quite excited of moderating this panel today with three great representatives of the EBAN Impact Committee. Pleased to introduce again Meri Helleranta, who is partner at Courage Venture Funds and LP at Portfolio, and also a member of EBAN Impact. Douglas Wong, also member of EBAN Impact and angel investor and mentor for multiple companies and startups, and currently sales director at Augmented Robotics. And finally, Huseyin Demirhisar, co-founder and CEO at Bit Capital Partners and board member of EBAN. So in fact, who is EBAN? A few words just to warm up. We are a network of early stage investors gathering mainly angels and angel networks, but also a few VCs, accelerator, and institutions. Overall, reaching some 20,000 individual investors, mainly in Europe, but also in Middle East and Africa. Our ultimate goal is to drive more and better angel investments. And we do that by facilitating trainings, sharing of best practice, by giving visibility to our members and their portfolio companies, and also, very importantly, by building networks and trust between investors around the globe. So as a network, of course, we strongly believe in the power of collaboration. And this is a bit what we want to talk about in this hour together. We want to make the case that impact investing and aiming for impact stimulates new models for deploying capital together across borders, but also between angels and other professional investors such as VCs, corporate VCs, governmental institutions, and so on. We claim that this collaboration, at the end of the day, allow to leverage comparative strengths, increase capacity, and thus simplify the marketplace for the investee. And in this setting, investor clubs, events like this one today, and networks like EBAN become hubs to inspire syndicate collaboration. So huge thanks to Richard and the One Initiatives, first of all, for inviting us over here. And I guess we can now dive into the topic, starting by asking our panelists to maybe share a couple of words about yourself, your background, and how you make impact investments. Maybe starting from Douglas and going into a circle.
Okay. Hi, how are you doing? Some of you already know me here, but there seems to be a bit of a recurring theme here because I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. So yay, Los Angeles. Woo! I would disagree that it's chaos. It's not exactly chaos, but it depends how you define chaos, of course. But I moved to Prague 31 years ago. My first job there was for Apple. I became the CFO for Central Europe, but I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I've started a bunch of different companies in LA, but also in Prague. My main business was in the toy industry for many, many years. So I did that for 25 years, scaled it up from 2 people in my apartment to 110 employees in 3 countries. And also had an ed tech startup for 10 years. But I sold all those companies a few years ago, and since then I've been an angel investor. But it's been a journey, and I've gone more and more into materials and food and other things, because I've been working a lot with physical products, and it's converted, let's say, into that kind of focus on that, and also on education.
Thank you. We will gonna go back, to how you got into impact investing, but please, Meri.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Douglas. I think every time I talk to you, I find sort of another layer of something that you didn't envision. So I'm kind of glad I have these encounters one time again. So my name is Meri Helleranta. I'm originally from Finland, and glad to be back there after 14 years working with the International Development Corporation. I'm a nutritionist by background. I've done some research on cardiovascular epidemiology before embarking on a career with international health. I was first employed by the World Bank, then moved on to Inter-American Development Bank. Quite some years, 8 years first in Washington before moving to Port-au-Prince, Haiti. After the previous big earthquake, was there for 3 years, then continued to Nicaragua for the next 3 years, really focusing on early childhood development and managing and financing and really advocating for big social sector programs, mostly with public financing. Some of it was grant money, some of it was very inexpensive loans, but really sort of coming to the issue of impact is just, I think a lot of those efforts that are done in that space, come to tell the story that how difficult it is actually to gain sustainable results, even if the money comes for free, so to say, that there isn't an additional cost to it. So even with a lot of money, it's sometimes difficult to achieve that good impact that we're all here for. So after those 14 years abroad, I came back. We moved back to Finland about 4 years ago, and after that, I've been looking for my space in the impact sector. Joined several female-led angel networks, and started being active with the EBAN network as well, particularly with the Impact Committee. Now, I've recently started working with a Finnish-American investor team, and we're looking to build a venture capital fund really focused on the promise of digital health and what it can provide to the humankind in more general. All right, I'll pass it on to Huseyin.
Thank you very much. So, I have been in investment space right now for 24 years. That's my 25th year. Celebrating quarter a century. And I began my career as an investment banker, so I was investing in capital markets. Then I moved into corporate finance and corporate investments, so I work for Shell. Now everybody hates them, I know, so I have the courage to say that. I work for fossil fuel, and I invested in North Africa, of course, and in the Indian Ocean region. So then I moved back to investment banking, so I was managing again funds, investing this time in renewable energy. And 11 years ago, it's just a beautiful coincidence, but today I decided to be an impact investment person. And at that time, I was a venture capitalist and a private equity fund manager. I was working for family offices, and I became a father 11 years, 2 months ago. So that was my first realization that I need to change the things. First of all, how I do investments, where do I invest, and why do I invest? Then one night how many people have kids here in this room? Perfect. So you will relate to what I will tell now. So, especially if you have a very hard sleeping boy, you need to spend lots of time trying to put them back into sleep. So one night I realized that he's just such a lucky boy, just because born to parents like us. He has nothing to do with that, right? He was just born lucky. So I said, this is unjust, right? Because at the same time, I read an article which, now I will ask you, what does it mean?
Enlightenment.
So every 4 seconds, a baby is dying. It's terrible. Because of poverty, because of malnutrition, every 4 seconds, a baby is dying, while the other one is being pampered, receiving whatever he wants, and also have already a future for him or her. So that changed me. That thinking, and I was, exactly 11 years ago, I was at the table to discuss my contract with the private equity firm that I was working with. And I told them, I want to do something else with my life. And that's not what I want to do. So I changed. The first change became with myself and how I made investments. So since then I'm an angel investor and family office executive. And recently we took over a 14-year-old organization with my investors and myself, which was Bit Network. Now it is Bit Capital Partners, and we have offices in 5 countries. 3 in East Africa and 2 in Benelux countries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. So maybe we heard a bit about how you got to impact investing, but we ask Douglas and Meri to share a bit more, since the role of impact investor is your second or third career already. Is impact investing something that you thought a lot about before taking a plunge into the area, and how your previous careers, in fact, led you there? Whoever wants to go first.
Now maybe this side. Come on.
Women,
Meri.
ladies first.
Sure. Right. So, well, I have to say that I felt that I was, at some point in my life, I thought I was ahead of the curve. I felt that I was really there to save the world before everybody got on board. And it felt like a lonely place almost. I wondered why everybody were so excited about joining the corporations, and I was like, well, what's the real thing? You know, where do you really get that motivation? And so I was excited with my development career for quite some time. I thought this was an extraordinary tool that can be used, that at least, you know, we have you know, plenty of resources, and we can really make an impact in these countries that we work. And it was only you know, the years that got to me, and the world changing around us, when I started seeing obviously it's never straightforward. Of course, it was, you know, the when you're dealing with governments from the developing countries, you know, there's always, you know, that we're not there, you know, for the lack of financing on its own. There are many issues that have led to the difficult circumstances that we would be dealing with, but nonetheless, it was. Somehow the world was really changing around us, and I felt these organizations that first had embarked on these noble mission were not changing with it. It felt that we were still using the very, very old tools. The kind of dialogues that we were having were not as engaging for the governments. We weren't achieving the kind of sustainability that we should have been, and it always started feeling that we're really, you know, in some way we're really wasting some of the money, and we should be held more accountable. And this is not to point a finger of any of these organizations, and it's really our governments who are financing all of this, and they're the ones then, and you know, we are the ones who don't force them to think differently about development, and force them to a different kind of sustainability arguments. So while I first thought that I was truly ahead of the game and really doing what matters, in the years to come, I felt that I was suddenly behind the wave, and really being where it really counted. And while, for example, the development banks have their private sector arm, and some specific, a lot of specific work is done from that. I still felt that a lot of the hierarchy of these organizations didn't allow the kind of novel thinking and agile move that needed to actually take place for us to actually get where we needed to go. So it was a little bit of disillusion, and I started feeling like a dinosaur, whether I was going to still be able to get out of, you know, that space and sort of reinvent and get going where suddenly I felt that that rubber was hitting the road in the right angle, so to say. So that was sort of my shift in sort of really looking for, obviously with the means of business to find that sustainability, but still have those targets up high in terms of impact.
Great, and I guess that really points at the more collaboration topic between investors and maybe development institutions to actually do things efficiently and with added value. But first, Doug?
Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, interesting that you put it that way, because when I reflect on this, I'm actually been behind the curve for pretty much most of my life. I mean, grew up in LA, obviously, let's say Americans are not ahead of the curve in terms of like consumption and other things, and they're, you know, having a negative effect on the world, like many other countries. But And then when I started my toy company, I also didn't give any thought to this because the toy industry has, say, maybe a positive social impact, but definitely a negative, let's say, CO2 impact by a lot because it's all about packaging and plastic production and whatever else, you know. But when I started my edtech company some years later, that opened my eyes towards more of an impact focus because obviously that's changing the world in a positive way. And towards the end of my, let's say, own company stints, I started doing research about where to go, what to do next, because I knew my company was being sold and I would need another career. And one of my first organizations that I participated in was a group called Seed Stars, if you know them. Anyone know them?
Yeah.
Out of Switzerland, and they're focused on the SDGs. It's more of a pitch contest where the winner wins 500,000 euros in investment. But they're very, very focused on the SDGs, and they're only focused on developing markets. So nothing into Europe, nothing into North America. And this kind of opened my eyes for the SDGs, but also for impact in general. And I met really a lot of very motivated founders from all over the world, Asia, South America, Africa, Middle East, and this just got me going on that path. And my journey has been, since I sold my company, what to do with my own time, and so I invested a lot of my time initially into mentoring early stage startups. And these startups are really good, but it was across the board because I went to a lot of tech conferences, and these guys are focused on SaaS models or on changing something in the UK or something else, and it's not really impactful, And so my journey has been over the last few years to build my network around impact startups, but also conferences, investors, the whole like. And it's accelerated in the last 12 months because I met a few very influential people in Europe, at least, and that has led me to focus only on impact-type startups. And as mentioned, I did a lot of stuff with physical products, so it tends to be more with materials, packaging, food, but also with education, because since I did that for many, many years.
Great.
So.
And maybe Meri and Huseyin wants to just summarize as well your focus of interest in terms of vertical that you invest in.
Sure. You want to go first?
Because of the geographies that we are working with, we are very much in agricultural supply chain. That's number one. Number two is clean tech. And number three is, we are sector agnostic, so to speak. However, again, agriculture, supply chain, clean tech, and fintech, these are the top three sectors.
Which geographic areas?
East Africa. So we have offices in Uganda, Rwanda, and Kenya. And originally, I used to invest in Benelux countries and Turkey. I'm originally Turkish as well. But down the last 5 years, I began to invest heavily in Africa. My first Africa journey was in Ghana, investing. And since then, I am very much focused on development of emerging countries. That's also the other area that I am very active in. And so therefore, especially poverty and hunger issues still a problem in my mind personally, that I cannot understand that while we are able to eat so much, why the others cannot, and we are even throwing away food. So that's the vertical that I am very much interested in and on my focus right now.
Yeah, and not an easy sector to find that super business model that will do the trick.
But again,
great mission.
We were also discussing, of course, we are in the same impact committee. We discussed many times, many different topics. And yesterday night, one of the topics was, where do we invest and how do we select the investments? That in the vertical I am in, I keep saying that there is no, we are not looking at unicorns. So also going back to the panelists before, we are looking at zebras and gazelles, because they are the engines of the economies. We need them more and more. More we have them, you can hunt whatever you want to, magical animals that you're after. But for us, it's about really how we can feed this growing population. If you look at especially Africa, where I operate, the population is expected to double soon, sooner than later. And with the climate change as well, do not forget that it's a problem for all of us. Who is hungry somewhere else will be a problem for you in your comfortable house as well. So that's why, yes, it's very difficult, but it's the beauty of it, right? If it was easy, why we are in impact space?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, right. So I'm working in the digital health space. So the fund that I work for, or where I'm a partner, we're 6 partners in that. We focus on the Nordic as well as the Baltic countries. So it's the new Nordic, as we say. So we're really looking for founders that are really passionate to really bring out the promise that the digital health is going to bring to the entire health sector. We really believe that all healthcare is going to be digitally enabled in a couple of years. And this will actually have tremendous impact on every step of the way. So it's going to be obviously it's going to impact from detection to treatment, but very much so on the experience of the patient. That there's going to be new kind of control that the patient will know, and their interaction that they're going to have with their caretaker is fully going to be transformed to a different kind of interaction altogether. As an epidemiologist and nutritionist, I'm always very excited about the opportunities that the digital health space will bring to preventive medicine, and how with the opportunities of people actually getting feedback, real feedback that matters, and the kind of support that many of us need for different kind of lifestyle changes is really gonna make a difference. And like few people have business solutions, to the hunger problems in Africa, so to say. And many say that the same goes for the preventive medicine, that who's ever made money with preventive medicine. And I think, I strongly believe that that's about to change, is that people have until now have not had the opportunity to really do good follow-up, to really get immediate feedback of their actions and really the kind of support that they would need. So I think we're on to something really exciting.
Did also COVID impact your decision process and also getting into digital health? Because there are many, I'm sure that there are many learnings here. But
right. Surely enough, the COVID era has shown how important it is and how quickly the transformation can actually happen when we need to. But I think COVID has really showed how individualized care, how it can look like, and how accessible it can be. And so definitely COVID has basically poured into this basket, really shown that a lot of the things that we thought that couldn't be digitally enabled suddenly can be that.
Great. Thanks. So instead of speaking about diverse syndicates, how do you see the collaboration or co-investments between angel and later stage or public investors in the impact space? Is it happening? Is it needed? Maybe starting from Huseyin?
But we missed Douglas.
All right.
Too. So let's
We already talked about my background a little bit, so.
I'm a kind person.
Okay.
That's right.
But, well, you already know my background about materials and whatnot, but just to finish up that previous question.
Yes.
Part of my journey has been that I've discovered myself that I'm becoming more and more frustrated with the waste happening, either food waste, plastic waste, and the list goes on. And I've always been one of those mentors that is working from the bottom up, meaning working with the founders to build their own companies that they can scale up and maybe change the world. Not from the top down, although with governments and education and whatnot, that's also important. But I'm the bottom up, and so I feel I have more control and more influence over those early stage startups to get to that next stage and hopefully make a much bigger impact on the world.
Great.
So, but to answer your next question,
Go for it.
and now we're finally getting into the topic that we were here for, right? Essentially, I mean, one of the issues with co-investing and with any sort of level, it doesn't matter if it's angels with other angels, if it's angels with VCs or whatever. I mean, in the end, it's all about trust, isn't it? And also about a comfort level. So if I don't know anything about a VC and they're my co-investor and they don't know anything about me, there's obviously a lower chance that something will happen, right? And the same goes your co-investor, your angel investor, you know? So you need to feel comfortable with obviously the company, the management, and all that stuff, which everyone knows about. But with your co-investors, it's important that you build that trust level. And so that, you know, if you recommended a really good company to me tomorrow, I'll do a quick due diligence and say, yeah, here's some cash because I trust you. But I mean, if I don't know some guy and he's like, hey, dude, I got an investment for you. That's something that's you just wouldn't do that, right? I mean,
and females can't be trusted for that.
So yeah, so it's about comfort level. It's about trust level. That's the most important thing.
Right. Well, I'd like to maybe take a sort of position on this where it comes to collaboration. I think diversity has shown to be such an important theme, and really makes so much business sense. And I think that's where many of us still have sort of blind spots, and it's hard to know, you know, what you don't know, and hard to tell what you don't see. And I think that's where these collaborations, you know, across borders and across sort of different investment groups come in really handy, because often in these collaborations you start looking at things from different angles. And I think that's constantly what we're looking with our investors group is like, you know, what are we missing? What are we missing? You know, and I remember when I was requested to join, I immediately went and looked at their portfolio, and I was happy to hear that over 60% of the founders that they had invested in their first fund was really of female and a minority group. But these are the things and I didn't look at because I was like, ooh, will I feel, you know, as a woman, and will I feel at ease with this group of people? No, I really looked at it as okay, are these guys, are they spotting where opportunity is, you know? Or is it, you know, because if it would have looked of anything different, I would have had the, it would have been obvious that there are some extraordinary opportunities that they would have not spotted just because of their own blind spots. So I think you know, collaborating across diverse groups really gives that opportunity. But about the sort of the investment space, I think it's gotten so much more interesting now that we actually, and you know, the roles of VCs and angels have gotten a little bit blurred, as we have some super angels who can do, you know, invest the way in which VCs used to do, and we have quite a few VCs that are also interested in a pretty early companies as well. So, and I think the most exciting is all these sort of investors, you know, who, or I mean entrepreneurs who come into this space and have that CEO experience and give that another turn. So I think this collaboration, it's sort of it's a better space than it ever was before, I think, in terms of diversity. And I think we're going to be doing better business for that. You know, just coming into here and admiring these beautiful paintings of these all-male panels. Mm-hmm. You know, it tells us that, you know, maybe even the amazing constitution of this country could have had a couple of nuances if the panel that was in charge of it, you know, would have had some diversity.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I will give two examples how I think why I believe that syndications and collaboration will bring more wealth. I'm not only talking about the financial wealth, but also the impact side of it. One of them, I used to be the head of put your money where your mouth is company, Pinvimic, maybe some of you might know, built by Frank van Beuningen from Holland. They are the biggest investment cooperative in impact space in Benelux countries, at least for a very long time. Simon, a Danish founder, lives in Amsterdam, and so there's some Danish connection here. And then Thomas, who's Dutch but living in Ghana, two founders came to me as an angel investor. They said that, hey, dude, we have a great idea. There's a land certification problem in the southern hemisphere. So many of these farmers, they are cultivating, but they don't own this land. Therefore, they cannot access to finance, and so forth. And then one day, the big tribe leader comes, or the government official says, this is my land. They have no right to say no. They say, we need to do something about it. Thomas say, I'm moving to Ghana, and I'm starting up this company. Are you in? So I said, okay. And actually, we were all EBAN members. We came together around 8 angel investors. We are the first seed funder. And because I was managing a fund as well, so I also invested via the fund, but from a different structure, so that there's no conflict. Furthermore, in our fund, Omidyar Network, we all know them, they were investors, they saw that project, they co-invested. Furthermore, we found that, hey, in order to create a sustainable model, we need a blended structure. I think also that's another thing that we need to touch base at some point. We found also several government agencies which provided technical assistance and also other blended finance structures, which now this company, after almost 8 years, sustain its business. It takes a long time. That's the other thing I want to say about impact investment. We need to provide more patient capital. We are not dealing with easy exits, just a warning. I'm sure that most of you also know that. But so that's the beauty of it. So many people from EBAN, actually, our network, right now I am a board member, we were the first one invested in. And the funds that we were managing or co-invested with us, co-invested. And so that this company is still very successful, operating and creating impact. The second one about the recent deal, actually, again, I will make a reference to EBAN. We had a summit, and we had the impact cohort during the summit. And one of the presenters, he is from Austria, and he lives in Rwanda actually he was an investor. So he decided to be an entrepreneur himself, and he took over a company in digital health sector, interestingly, but based also in LA, his holding company. So he and then he presented his project and his transaction during the EBAN summit, and now many from our network, many investors invested in, and then the others saw it, the East African-based investment funds, they saw that, oh, you know what? Europeans trust that guy. Okay, maybe the mindset doesn't sound very tasty here, but it is as it is. They said that, look, if these guys made already a due diligence about him, because they are also from Europe, he is European, then we trust that guy as well. So it's about, I go back to Douglas, it's excellent remark. He initiated the whole discussion with an excellent remark. It's about the trust business. Co-investment is also trust business. If you trust your co-investor, at least you know that he did, like also the panel before, if somebody did, look at the shareholders' contracts and more experienced than me, I'm more than happy, right? I'll learn from him or her. So if Martina called a couple of guys and said, look, can you help about this financial model and fix it? And they did it, I'm more than happy. So again, let's collaborate, let's share the deals with each other, and let's invest together. That's the beauty of it. We learn from each other, and we need each other.
Yeah, And we spoke about development agency, the World Bank, the UN. Are these guys open to work along, private investors? Is it easy for private investors to collaborate with these agencies?
I could quickly mention, I don't know everything that's being done in that space. I know that even Unicef has their own venture fund nowadays, particularly looking at innovations that are coming, that have founders in their target countries, and are looking and are really serving the space. For example, Unicef Ventures has financed quite a few drone companies in Africa and things like that. So I think there are definitely efforts, but it almost takes like a new initiative altogether, which has been created on a new set of premises. That the sort of the old-fashioned lending programs hardly have that space for collaboration in that respect.
Okay. So I think we have like some 4 minutes left, a bit more. So I would like to ask you if there is any typical misconception about impact investors that you thought was true, but then at a later stage found out it wasn't the case. Douglas?
Well, I actually have an opinion on that, but it's more opinion at the moment than actual fact, as there's not a lot of data on the subject, just because it's still relatively early stages or early days for impact investing. But there's a misconception saying that if you're going for impact-focused companies, that means you can take a sort of a lower profit when you exit. And I'm a believer that's not the case. Because when I'm looking at companies generally, I mean, I'm always looking at business first, or let's say the traditional way of analyzing companies. So look at management, look at financials, look at market fit, and all that stuff, which every other company in here probably looks the same way. But I'm also looking for that spin, or let's say the focus of the founders, and not only on paper, but also philosophically, that they believe that they want to change the planet. And those guys, eventually, some of them are going to become the next, let's say, Elon Musk or Bill Gates or whatever. Just by the numbers, it's going to happen because there's a lot of companies out there that are trying their darndest to move the agenda forward. And so I'm a big believer that you don't have to take a discount on that, because it'll be an impact-focused unicorn. The next ones are going to be coming at some stage. I can't tell you when, no one can, but it's really important to understand that the impact will make you money as well, and not just, oh, I'm doing a good job and I'm changing, orphans, whatever, diapers in this area.
I'm really happy that you brought up that, because I think that's the most prominent misconception in the whole sort of impact investment space. I think I like the way you put it. I just might maybe quickly comment that since all of us here are in our second or third careers until we found this space, maybe I'll just make the comment that no, you don't have to have exited your own company in order to come into this space. There's so much to do, so much amazingly motivational work to be done that needs all of our efforts. And so no, you don't have to exit your company. No, you don't have to have a previous career in development and impact. There's so much to do for every sector, so welcome aboard.
Thank you. You two made very good, or you touched very important and essential subjects that didn't leave me much space. But I think the other misconception is, or the third one I would like to add is about the failures in impact space. What I learned is not more or less than the normal businesses. So also making the reference to what Douglas said, not only exit, but also we need to look at the failure space. So, and also related to that, I think one thing I learned during the impact space from, again, one of the impact leaders that I had the chance to meet, he had said that, Muhammed Yunus, at a lunch he had said that actually you believe that, again, similar to what Douglas said, when you give money to a needy person, it is hard to get it back. Actually, it is opposite. These people feel more responsible to pay you back because they know that if they pay you back, this money will be invested again, reinvested again, reinvested again. So I think the learning here is just combine all three of us, what we are trying to say. There are many misconceptions about impact investment space, but it's not also very different than any other investment class. We are still, this is still a very early stage, or as a asset class. Just 11 years ago, how many people heard impact investment? Come on. It was ESG investment. That was the term that we focused. So it is developing, and yes, indeed. So I would like to end up with what you have said. Impact space needs all of us and all our skills and competencies, whatever we can bring, and our networks, we should.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to
Well
all
said.
of three of you for representing EBAN today. We're almost at the end of this panel, and besides thanking you, hope that the experiences were interesting and valuable for all of you guys. But I would like to draw your attention of that QR code, which is on the slide. That is the impact investing survey that we launched with EBAN Impact and the ISADE and the Copenhagen Business School, actually. It's the second edition that we do, and we're trying to measure the activity of angel impact investing, as well as trends and how impact investments are being done. So the survey takes about 5 to 10 minutes. All information is confidential. We really invite you to scan it. If you don't manage to scan it from afar, don't you worry, because I have it on my phone, and I'll be around for the next couple of days. Super happy to, I think that all of also us are happy to expand on the topics that were touched upon during these 45 minutes, but I'm also happy to touch base with anyone who would be interested in joining the discussions that we have in EBAN Impact, that would like to train or be trained on impact investing. We are around, so happy to have a coffee. And thank you again to you for being with me today, and to Richard and the organization. Thanks.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.